Hi folks, and thanks for joining me. The big day is here. I just can't put it off any longer. I've owned this beauty for 4 days now and I haven't been able to ride her thanks to the good old Irish weather. But it looks like there's a small break in the clouds, so I'm going for it. This is it. But I'm really nervous and I don't know why. I think it's because it's so clean or something. I'm frightened to get any mud on it. Anyway, there's only one thing for it. I'm not going to do a big technical review of all the engine specs and everything else because there's loads of stuff like that on the internet. So this really is my first impressions of my first ride on this Continental GT. The riding position's lovely. I don't feel as though, even though I'm leaned forward, I don't feel as though there's too much weight on my wrists, so I don't feel as though I'm doing a press up, which is a good start. Not like sitting on a sports bike or anything. And I'm not sat straight upright, which is also great because I have a dodgy lower back, and any bumps that I go over on bikes where I do sit upright, I can definitely feel it in the bottom of my back. And the other thing I've noticed straight away is the spacing on the handlebars. I know they're clip-ons, but they feel really spaced apart. One of the things about the FJR 1300, which is my other bike, is that the handlebars are quite narrow. So I'm probably noticing it more than other riders who haven't come from an FJR. So this might just feel normal to most of you watching this, but for me they definitely feel spaced apart. God, this clutch is really finger light actually. Really easy to operate, lovely. The levers are in a great position, they don't need adjusting, and by the looks of it, just as well, because it doesn't look as though they can be adjusted. But anyway, this is really nice, really comfortable. I do miss a windscreen. I mean, it's a very calm day, wind-wise anyway, but I'm pleased I'm wrapped up. I'm definitely getting the wind on my body, but listen, of course that's going to be the case. I don't feel buffeted, so the wind is not being thrown around by the two speedometer dials by any means. It's really nice and smooth, the airflow around me. It's really gorgeous. Actually, I've only been on this bike, what, a minute or two, and already the confidence has built. And you're aware that I was a little bit nervous when I first got on the bike. That's gone, which is a great start, and great testament to the bike for making me feel like that so soon into the first ride. So really happy about that. I have to say it's very quiet on board, which I'm possibly a little bit worried about because I wanted to hear the grunt of the engine. More on that later. I was one of my first modifications was going to be the slip-on cans, just to give the bike a bit of a grunt, but I'm not going to do anything until I've completed the first 500 mile or 500 kilometer run-in period. That's what the instruction book says anyway, so I'm just going to leave the bike pretty much as is until I've done that first 500k, and then see about changing anything which tickles me fancy. Now, I've been through the instruction book and it says not to test the brakes, so I'm not going to just slam them on completely, but here we go. Oops, I'll make sure I do it on a bit of road where there's no gravel, actually, a bit of straighter road as well. Ready? Here we go. Wow, that is good. I didn't jam them on to lock them up, but that kept me absolutely solid in a straight line, which is what I like. I applied the same amount of front and rear brake. There's none of the fancy stuff where when you touch the rear brake it dips 1 caliber on the front brake. Not on this bike. Not much fancy about this bike, to be honest, except its looks. I mean, they are extremely fancy, which is what attracted me to the bike. And I love the idea. It's just a stripped back, basic, good old Royal Enfield, the way bikes used to be. Well, the only thing you have to worry about is not tuning in your DAB radio. It's just the ride itself, which is really lovely, I think, just to strip it back to basics now and again and just worry about the ride of the bike itself, not programming the sat-nav or checking the Bluetooths on in your helmet for your phone and whatever else. It's just good old basic motorcycle riding. The mirrors are in a bit of a funny place. I don't know if you can see me turning my head, but I am having to turn my head. They're quite far out. Rather than now, I've played before I left, I did angle them in the correct position, but I suppose I can always alter these as well. I'm not unduly worried about that because I've bought the black curved mirrors which go on the end of the handlebars and come around like that, so they'll be the first thing I'm sticking on. I've also bought the Cafe Racer single seat just to emphasize the look I think this bike was designed for, which is that 1960s Cafe Racer style. I actually think this is the first bike I've ever bought blind, where I've never test ridden, never even tried a mate's bike, just because there wasn't any in the country because of the pandemic. And then the motorbike shops I was speaking to said they can't keep hold of them. As soon as they get them in, they're sold. So on that note, and reading all the good reviews on YouTube and the likes of, I thought, well, do you know what, especially for the price, if it doesn't suit me, if it doesn't fit me, I know I could sell it straight away. Especially here in Ireland, there seemed to be a very sought after summer bike, and I always seem to want the colour, which is the hardest one to get, i.e. the most popular. I really love this colour, I really do. My wife is still convinced I got the chrome one just because I'm, well, in her eyes she thinks I'm so vain I could look at myself even more in the chrome fuel tank. That's not true, but if you are on your way to a business meeting and you take the helmet off when you get there, well, you do have a full-size mirror there to fix your helmet hair. God, I'm really enjoying this. The motorcycle shop actually told me as long as I keep it between 1500 and 3000 revs for the first 500k, that's good enough. You know, don't be revving it hard. Make full use of the gears. Don't be labouring like I am at the moment. Work your way up and down the gearbox. I did when I was spinning through the instruction manual. There's like a different rev range for every gear. I'm not sure who would do that. I'm not sure who could even remember that. I certainly couldn't. God, this is really gorgeous. I'm totally settled into the riding position, totally settled into the saddle, which is another thing which was concerning me, because I'd read from a few of you that this seat's comfiness was just not great, but no complaints so far. Actually, it's soaking up a few of the bumps in the road, if anything. Seems a lot softer than some of the motorcycle seats I've sat on. Take it handy on the loose gravel there on the road, because new tyres, they definitely need a 100k, I would say, especially on loose gravel, before you start leaning the bike over and putting weight onto the side of the tyres. Take it nice and easy. Oh, that's really nice. That's a good, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's really interesting. Since the bike has warmed up, the engine note has definitely significantly changed, and I suspect it's one of those bikes where you have to be on the pavement watching the bike go by, or indeed stood behind the bike, to get the full effect of the thunder from this engine. So maybe that's just saved me a few quid and I don't have to get the slip-on cans. That sounds really nice. We're coming into a town now, so it'll be interesting to see how it handles at a slower speed. but it just wants to stay vertical when you're on the straight and narrow. There's no buffeting, it's not pulling to the left or the right. Good old Irish flag. In case you didn't know, we're in Ireland. You can probably tell by my accent. Well, I'm saying that. I've only lived in Ireland for 17 years, so I'm not fully Irish. I'm a plastic paddy, as my Irish friends call me. I'm originally from the northeast of England, which is what the other half of my accent is, Geordie accent. I'm 5'8", so I'm not exactly over tall, and I came to a stop a couple of times there and was able to get both feet, flat feet, on the ground, which is always nice. I still can't do that on the FGR. And now we've got roadworks. Well, this was a mistake, coming on this road for its first ride. Do you know what I might do? I might spin her back around. Very easy handling there. I didn't feel as though it was leaning to one side. That's the other thing, actually, it's not top heavy at all. So it's still quite a heavy bike. It comes in around the 200k mark, which is quite heavy really. But this feels very light, very easy on the turn, and because the weight is down low, it feels even lighter than it actually is. Really nice. Read quite a bit about the suspension on these bikes, and indeed that's another mod a lot of you with these bikes seem to be taking upon yourselves to do. Again, I'll do the 500k and see how I get on with that, but no complaints so far. And I've hit a couple of little potholes and traffic risers in the road, but it just glides over them. It's really smooth. As smooth as this gorgeous 650 parallel twin engine. You can see why it's the best-selling brand of bike in India. Our friends in India certainly know how to build bikes. This is really gorgeous. I don't want to go home. Doesn't have a gear indicator, but sure, who needs one? That's all part of the fun. And I'm purposely not going to put a phone holder on the front of this. I think it would spoil the look of it. If you could see the grin on my face now, you could probably see it in the reflection of the fuel tank if I didn't have a full face helmet on. I suspect this is going to get ridden more than my FGR, certainly for the next month or so. Switches feel really nice and heavy. You know you're clicking it anyway, you know. Horn's very loud. And that's pretty much all I can report on up front in the flight deck. An indicator switch and a horn, and then your on off button. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's just shaved about 7 minutes off a normal review video. Oh, I just can't wait to get beyond the braking period and start leaning her into the corners, see what she's really capable of. But I'll tell you something, I have a very, very good feeling about this bike. The only negative I've found is the side stand. The position of the kickdown on the side stand is right underneath the foot peg, which is really weird, because the first 2 or 3 times anyway, when I was moving it around over the weekend, in and out of the garage and whatever else to start her up, I went to put the side stand down, kicked the foot peg by mistake, and well, nearly lost the balance of the bike. I didn't drop it or anything like that, so it's not too bad, and I'm sure it's only a case of getting used to it. But that's the only thing. When you're on the bike and you're pushing the bike backwards, the footrest again can dig you in the shin. But again, I'm sure that's only a case of getting used to it. I know the bike was designed in England and built in India. I don't know who's responsible for what exactly, but the colour scheme, the little touches like the stripe here on the fuel tank, is just so right. And I love the suspension on the back, the little gold pots behind the black springs. It really sets it off. I absolutely love it. So on that note, I'm going to take her home, wrap her up, and give her even more love and affection. So until the next ride out, thanks so much for joining me on this. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because then you'll be notified about all future videos with my newly found love affair with this gorgeous Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 Mr. Clean Edition. I'm Dave Perry for Wheelie Good TV. Stay safe and thanks a million for watching. Over and out. Woohoo!